Alright, in this video we're going to be taking a look at a smartwatch sort of fitness tracker combo. And there is a lot to like about it and a few things that could definitely use some improvement. So we'll jump into that and check that out right after this intro and a little image collection that gives you some details on this. And then we'll talk some specifics. Alright guys, so we're taking a look at this fitness tracker smartwatch. So I'll go ahead and take this off. First off, it is very lightweight, extremely comfortable with this really soft silicone band, and it does come in 3 different colors in case you don't like white. Now, what I really like about this is that this can do blood pressure and O2 or oxygen saturation measurements, and because of my extensive medical history, problems and such, I actually do a lot of blood pressure checks, pulse checks, O2 saturation not so much, but I kind of know where that is as well from being in the hospital in the past many times and where it tends to fall on days when I'm feeling really good and healthy, which I have been since I've been wearing this. And this is very accurate so far for me as far as blood pressure and everything else. So that's really cool. So real quick, what it comes with, just comes in this little box here, a sleeve that goes over the box. Sort of a little thank you card. I think it has not a thank you card, but this is the tip card. That's what it is. This one says bind the device with a smartwatch app rather than Bluetooth. So a lot of people try to pair their smartwatch fitness tracker with Bluetooth directly and not from within the app, and that is where they lead to problems because it doesn't work that way. So it's nice they had this little reminder. So that's pretty cool. And then you have your little user manual. It goes through all the different things that you might want to know about the app download and everything else. So real quick thing about the app, there appears to be 2 different versions. If you use the QR code, it'll take you to a website that was in Chinese, and you can download the app from the website that way. And that app's going to have some different layout, very similar in a lot of ways and a lot of the same functionality, but where you find different settings and change different things is going to be in a different location, come to find out. I just went straight to the Play Store here in the US, grabbed the same exact app, which is called GloryFit. Works fine. It's actually a really good app as a whole, but some of the settings are in a little bit different location, so keep that in mind and decide accordingly. I try to stick with apps from the Play Store personally. So that all said, the app we'll get into in just a moment, but I want to show you the little charger. So it's a proprietary charger, so that's kind of a not so good thing in one sense, because if you lose or damage or something happens to this, you may not be able to charge your smartwatch. So that is one of the areas that could use improvement. And also, there's these tiny little pins you can see right there that have to line up with the little pins on the back. And boy, that is a frustrating thing to deal with, because you basically just stick that on there like this, and that's how it goes on there. But getting those little pins to line up can be infuriating. Takes a while, but once you do, it will show you the charge status, and it shows you kind of a circle, and it has this sort of progression rising to the top until it's full. When you have a full circle, it's fully charged. Now, from completely dead to fully charged, right in the neighborhood of 3 hours, maybe 2.5, maybe a little over 3 hours, but right in the neighborhood of 3 hours. Really depends on what you have it set as far as what you are plugged into, not what you have it set to, but what you have it plugged into. So some chargers are going to be more powerful than others, or if you're doing a laptop or whatever. But the beautiful thing is, because it is USB, you can pretty much charge it up anywhere in the world with any device, whether it's a power bank, laptop, wall, whatever. So that's great. Now, let's take a look at the watch itself. You basically have 3 buttons that you'll interact with. So this does have the ability, when you raise it up, it will light up, and you can set the duration, so it's about 10 seconds, I believe I have it set to. But You also have different activities like running or swimming and whatnot. And because this is waterproof, not just water resistant, you can swim with this. You can't, scuba dive or, go too deep, and you don't want to submerge it for extremely long periods, but you can go swimming, you can shower, getting caught in the rain. I wash my hands excessively, especially with the current state of the world at the time of this video with the virus situation. Obviously, hand washing is, very important, so do that. You don't have to worry about it with this though. No issues. Now, when it's underwater, you're swimming, you probably shouldn't be pushing the buttons too much, because that does give a potential leak opportunity, but it's not probable. But you shouldn't do it anyway. So, that said, you can also look at the weather. You can see your text messages, different alerts from your phone, so that's really cool. Sedentary reminder, calorie, pedometer, so you can measure your steps. And that's the one thing this is way oversensitive about. The sleep monitor seems to be very accurate. Blood pressure and O2 saturation is all accurate, pulse, like I said. But the actual track of step, too sensitive. Or maybe I move my arms way too much and this is just picking up on that, because even on really inactive days when I have like my medical treatments, I'm barely doing anything those days. Walking very short distances and sitting for long periods because of the treatment and because of how tired I am after the treatment. Not a lot of motion going on, but still getting pretty high readings on this more than anything I've ever had in the past with a lot of other smartwatches and fitness trackers. So that's not so great. So as you can see, the watch has what looks like 2 buttons on each side, and then you have a small circle here that's a button. Now, these buttons aren't actual buttons. This is just for symmetry, so the watch has a more balanced look about it. So there's nothing there. Don't worry about those. This top button, this is basically your power if you hold it down, or if you short press it, it is your home button. So if you're into, some other feature of the watch, looking at something and you want to get back to the main, first start screen, the watch face, you push the top button, that will take you back. This bottom button, this is your sort of your activity button. So if you want to go and jump into the activity function, like running, for example, you click that, you'll get, jump straight into that. You'll get straight into the activities, and then you can use this little circle button here, which is a touch capacitive button, to interact with, some things there. So that's pretty much how the buttons work. So let me give you a real quick example. So if I push that home button, it lights up. If I push this button here, I can cycle through, push that, home button again, back to the main screen. Now, if I push this bottom button, as I said, we jump into the activity button. You can scroll through. All right. So there I am. If I wanted to start, see, I can interact there. Hold on a minute, I want to go back. All right. So now you can see. There we go. So now you can see that, and see where it says end workout. It's a little, it doesn't show up very well on the camera. I'm hoping you guys can see this. So let's say you're there on that screen and you don't want to end the workout, press and hold and it returns you back to this screen here. Now if I hit it again and I do want to end the workout, press and hold, I can exit out. A little bit difficult, sorry about that. Hope you bear with me on that one. So the other thing is the watch face. If I push and hold, I can change, push and hold. You can change, push and hold. you can change. I like this one because it gives you a lot more information. And as you can see, I can scroll through the different aspects. So that was just a real quick run through. So you can look at your blood pressure and your different step counts, O2 saturations. There's a training function, which actually coincides with the actual, there's the weather with the actual app. So if you wanted to do that, you have a stopwatch on here. You have a function, you can go into function, but there's not a lot you can do on this as far as that's concerned. Now, we talked about charging. It's going to be about 3 hours from completely dead. And as far as runtime, they claim, I believe, 2 weeks of runtime and 45 days of standby. My experience is you're going to get about 5 to 7 days with, I'd say, low to maybe moderate usage. I basically don't use the watch for like the training and everything else where I'm using the stopwatch or the running or swimming or that type thing, but just using the time, scrolling through a few times and checking the weather, looking at blood pressure, O2 saturation, the sedentary alert, text messaging, phone calls, alerts of that type, doing things like that with this. And I was able to get, I started on a Sunday, I want to say midday, so middle of the afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that neighborhood. Full battery, ran all the way until fairly later in the evening, sometime after 6, probably closer to about 8 o'clock on Saturday night, almost a week later, so almost a week. So I got 6 days, essentially. So 5 to 7 days, I'm thinking, is probably where most people are going to fall. So I guess that's kind of good, because if you have, like, say you basically need it during the weekdays, you can charge it on the weekend at some point for 3 hours. The sleep monitor is actually fairly accurate. Really impressed with that as a whole, because I know from other sleep trackers in the past, and just that I sleep lightly, so I pay attention to the time I get up and down at night, so I know how much I'm awake and how much I'm asleep and whatnot. And it tells me I go to bed too late, which is very true, and I sleep too little, which is very true. And that's a little tips as far as sleep health goes. But yeah, that's really impressive. So a lot to like about it. The charging, getting these little pins lined up, super annoying. Definitely could use some improvement. The battery life could be better, but it had to be probably a lot thicker, a bigger watch. Not many people are going to want to deal with that. So 5 to 7 days is not bad. Pretty close to a lot of others I've had in the past. Not as good as some, not as bad as others. The button functionality, again, home button up top, power button if you hold it down. The bottom button is basically going to jump you right into your fitness and activity type. And then depending on if you short press or long press this button, what function it provides. But basically short presses are going to cycle through things, and long presses are when you want to select something. That's pretty much just a quick rundown on the buttons. You've got your sensor on the back for blood pressure and O2 saturation. Other than that, there's not a whole lot I want to say about this as a whole, but I do want to take a look at the app. So I'm going to do a little screen recording of the app itself and give you a little quick run through on that, because if the app is terrible, it doesn't matter how good the hardware on the watch is, you're going to hate using it, you're going to hate owning it. But the app as a whole is really good. Maybe could use a little improvement here and there. Not really a whole lot to complain about there. It's actually considerably better than some of the others, maybe one of the best. Pretty thorough and pretty detailed. So let's take a look at that real quickly, and otherwise, thanks for watching. There's going to be a link below. You can find out more, read some of the other details, check out other reviews, and just find out anything else. Look at the other colors available. I think there's a red, white, and blue. There's a black and white. I prefer the white. The red, white, and blue actually looks like that right there. So not too bad, I suppose, but not my thing. Other than that, thanks for watching. Check out the link, as I said, and here is a quick overview of the app you can check out, kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be interacting with. Okay, thanks for watching. All right, so taking a look at the app, if we Actually, if you look at the pull down, you can actually see your step count is shown right there in the drop down, which is kind of cool. So this is the app real quick. It gives you the temperature on the top left, gives you the current status as far as steps, your distance, your heat, which is calories burned, heart rate, the last recording, the last sleep record, the last blood pressure recorded. And if you drag this down like this, you can see the little circle at the top, and it will be how you sync. You can also see that it says syncing right in the middle of the screen. So that is how you sync the unit. Finished sync, so that's good. Now, if you look on the bottom, you can see there are basically 4 categories. The first one we're on is, of course, the home screen, which we just talked about. And each one of these that you click on will give you a little more information, specifics to whatever it is you're actually wanting to view as far as what you decided to click on. So very simple. You've got the sports icon, which is basically your activities. You can jump into that, use the telephone and go in. I'm not really big into that, but that may be something that other people are more interested in, but I won't get into that. You can also switch between different activities and add more activities up top. On the bottom here under device, this is basically, you're going to see your battery status and the actual device identification at the top. And you can turn off or on a lot of the functionality. You can see that I basically have every single item turned on except for the alarm clock and the do not disturb. You also have universal settings. So if you want to find the bracelet, you can adjust the on time for the watch as far as how long it's lit up, whether you have a 12 or 24 hour, your language, SMS reminder, if you want to get that. Shake to take a picture. So if you want to control the camera, you can do that, which is pretty cool. So a lot of different little features and everything there. If you click on each one of the categories, you can go through and adjust some settings for each one of those categories. You also have the ability to unbind the watch, clear the data, and do a firmware upgrade. So that's just a really quick overview of the settings in that area. Now, me is basically going to be where you set some things depending upon your personal information. So if you want to set your name, photo, and all that stuff, your personal information like your weight and such, a training plan so you can kind of set your goals, target steps, same type thing. You got weekly, and this requires a login. I chose not to log in, so I didn't create an account. You have third-party access, WeChat Sports. So if you're someone that uses that you can. Your activity permissions, that's gonna be something that you'll actually go into and adjust according to what you prefer. Of course, your system settings are gonna let you adjust things like unit. So depending upon if you want to see kilometers as opposed to miles, very simple. You can also log in from here. Again, I didn't log in. That's really up to you. If you want to do that, go for it. Physiological, I believe that is like menstrual cycles for women as far as that's concerned. Obviously no need for that for me, so I can't speak to that and how it functions. And a cool little help section under common problems. So that's a pretty cool, pretty easy thing right there. Other than that, not a whole lot else to talk about on the app. Just really, really easy to use. Now, if you see this weather on the top left and you click on it, this is actually where you can go in and make some adjustments to the actual Celsius or Fahrenheit display, as opposed to unit, which is in the version, I believe, when you download it from the Chinese website. All the settings are there. This one, the temperature settings are found under the actual weather. So you'd have to go in, open it up as I have now, this screen you're looking at, and that will allow you to modify it there at the top. You can go into the settings and change it, but it's a nice little thing. You can see some specifics to the weather, but that's pretty much the whole of the app. So just a really quick rundown. It's super easy, very intuitive actually, and overall a really good device with a really good app. Makes a good combination. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found this useful. Thanks again.